Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to speak about very interesting topic. So, the theme of our lesson is natural disasters. I want to introduce learning objectives and assessment criteria. 10.1.1 Use speaking and listening skills to solve problems creatively and cooperatively in groups. 10.4.1 Understand specific main points in extended text on a wide range of familiar and some unfamiliar general and curricular topics. 10.4.2 Understand specific information and detail in extended texts on a range of familiar general and curricular topics and some unfamiliar topics. 10.1.10 Use talk or writing as a means of reflecting on and exploring of perspectives on the world. Assessment criteria. Recognize speaker's opinion in extended talk on different topics. Use vocabulary related to natural disasters. Discuss the topic. Answer comprehension questions. Give full answer to open-ended questions. Before beginning our lesson, I want to check the home task. Your home task was to write a story about a nasty experience. Let's start our lesson with watching the video Hurricane Katrina and answer the questions. Have you heard about this disaster? If yes, how did you feel? How do you think the people in these countries felt?
Hurricane Katrina, the tragedy of New Orleans. On Tuesday, the 23rd of August, 2005, a tropical storm formed over the Bahamas. By the 25th of August, the storm had strengthened and become Hurricane Katrina. Residents of the city of New Orleans had no idea that within days their city would be hit by one of the worst disasters in U.S. history. Hurricane Katrina was one of the most powerful storms that has ever hit the Atlantic coast, with winds of over 270 kilometers per hour. When the eye of the storm missed the city by about 72 kilometers, everyone thought the worst was over, but they were very wrong. New Orleans has always been under threat from flooding, being surrounded by the Mississippi River and Lake Pontchartrain. With most of the city meters below sea level, a series of high walls called levees protected it. As the hurricane came ashore, it brought an 8-meter-high storm surge that smashed through the levees. Over 1 million residents had already left the city, but tens of thousands, mainly the elderly and the poor, were in temporary shelters. As the waters rose, people were begging for help on roofs. Emergency services struggled to cope. Eventually, the military and the National Guard moved into the city and began to get food and water to the desperate few that remained. After 43 days, Army engineers pumped the last of the floodwater out of the city. These days, New Orleans is making a slow recovery. The city has improved the levees, the community is rebuilding itself, and everyone is working hard to make sure that nothing like this will ever happen again.
And now, let's repeat some words connected with the natural disasters.
Natural Disasters Vocabulary by eslkidsworld.com. An avalanche. An avalanche. The avalanche forced its way down the mountain. A cyclone. A cyclone. The cyclone struck the village last night. An earthquake. An earthquake. I survived the earthquake. A flood. A flood. The flood caused a lot of damage. A hurricane. A hurricane. The hurricane hit the city yesterday. A landslide. A landslide. The road was blocked by a landslide. A sandstorm. A sandstorm. He lost his way in a sandstorm. A tornado. A tornado. The town was hit by a tornado. A tsunami. A tsunami. The tsunami flooded the town. A typhoon. A typhoon. His home was destroyed by a typhoon. A volcano. A volcano. The volcano erupted yesterday. A wildfire. A wildfire. The wildfire is still out of control.
So, you will do a matching exercise. Task number 1. You should match the words with the pictures. Check your answers. Task number 2. Watch the video Natural Disasters and give full answers to the following questions. What natural disasters are there in this video? What is a natural disaster? Where do volcanoes occur? Where do earthquakes occur? What are some things in the natural disasters have in common?
Natural disasters. Every year, natural disasters happen all over the world. Forest fires throughout Australia, Europe, Africa and North America. In 2017, forest fires burnt over 100,000 acres of land in Portugal. There are 2 ways a forest fire can start. Natural fires are generally started by lightning, and human-caused fires can be an accident or set on purpose. On the 5th of August 2010, a mine collapsed, leaving 33 miners trapped for 69 days in the Atacama Desert, Chile. After 17 days of searching, the miners were located and found alive 2,300 feet underground. The rescuers then had to drill to reach and rescue the miners. Hurricanes are huge storms that form in the Atlantic and Northeast Pacific Oceans. In 2005, Hurricane Katrina caused massive flooding and loss of life in New Orleans, USA. An estimated 80% of New Orleans was underwater, and in some places it was up to 20 feet deep. This happened because the barriers designed to protect the city couldn't take the strength of the Category 5 hurricane. Volcano eruptions are events a country can prepare for, but sometimes they cause unexpected chaos. In 2010, the Eyjafjallajökull volcano in Iceland erupted and people had to evacuate the area. Because of the ash cloud that formed, most flights to, from and in Europe were cancelled as European airspace was shut down. Earthquakes can cause huge amounts of damage, but they can also lead to other disasters. In 2011, a massive earthquake measuring 9.0 on the Richter scale hit Japan. It was followed by a huge tsunami that caused terrible destruction and loss of life. This caused damage at the nuclear power plant in Fukushima, with the reactors going into meltdown. When natural disasters happen, it's important for governments and companies to work together. Different countries can offer aid or experts that can help in difficult situations.
Suggested answer. Task number 3. Look at the natural disasters in the picture and complete the sentences with burnt, rescued, caused, erupted, hit. Check yourself. Task number 4. You should read the paragraphs and refer them to the questions. Check your answers. Task number 5. You should watch a video Kazakhstan nuclear testing aftermath and answer the questions. What problem have you seen in the video? When was the first testing of nuclear weapon? What was Kazakhstan radiation consequences? How many years was testing of nuclear weapon? When was finished testing of nuclear weapon? How can people solve the problem of ecology?
The first Soviet atomic bomb test in northeastern Kazakhstan was in 1949. There followed a nearly further 500 nuclear tests over the next 40 years, many of them above ground, spreading nuclear fallout far wider than the test zone itself. That means the equivalent of a nuclear bomb explosion every single month in an area roughly the size of Belgium. Well, living on that land, thousands of people, all exposed to often extremely high levels of radiation. People told to keep their windows open as the Soviet authorities measured people's reactions.
They told us it was a hospital that treats tuberculosis, but it was the army who managed it. After each explosion, they would take people here. They were kept for 10 days and then sent home. Even the Nazis didn't dare to do tests on their own people. We did them on our own people.
Nearly 30 years later, and they are still living with the effects. Cancers, miscarriages, mental disabilities, malformations, infertility. Today, nearly 500,000 people have officially been recognised by the Kazakhstani authorities as affected by nuclear testing. Experts say the cancer rate in eastern Kazakhstan is 2 or even 3 times higher than the national average. Well, life, though, beginning to return to normal. Radioactivity levels at last dropping to safer levels. The country once again wanting to exploit the land known as the Polygon due to its shape, which remains rich in minerals. Well, Miyuki Dros-Aramaki and Sophie Guignon revisit Semih for France 24.
"30 years after the last nuclear tests were conducted here, Kazakhstan has not forgotten its victims. This is the country that launched the Global Day Against Nuclear Proliferation. Every 29th of August, even in the rain, thousands of people gather for a memorial at Semih, a large city in the northeast of the country.
Check yourself. Next task, vocabulary work. You should solve the crossword. Check yourself. Task number 7. Discuss the following questions. Which of disasters are you afraid most of all? Which of disasters aren't you afraid of? And why? Which of disasters did you go through? Did you fear for your life in that situation? Which of these disasters are possible to happen in your region? Which of the actions do you do to prevent damage and stay safe? Today we will work with phrasal verbs.
Phrasal. Phrasal.
Иногда их называют фразовые глаголы. Это глаголы, которые используются с предлогами или с какими-нибудь коротенькими словами и совершенно меняют свое значение, то есть их надо знать наизусть. Примеры. Put – это положить. Но если вы скажете put on, это уже будет другое значение – одеть. Take off – снять. Или применительно к самолету – это взлет самолета. Ведь самолет же отрывается от поверхности. Take off – взлет. Только не говорите, что посадка будет take on. Посадка будет land. Turn on, turn off. Включить, выключить. Pick up. Поднять что-либо. Кстати, еще одно значение – заехать, забрать на машине кого-то. Put down. Положить. Очень часто такие глаголы используются с каким-нибудь прямым дополнением. Ну, например, сказать просто put on и ничего не добавить бессмысленно. Получается одень. А что одень? Надо добавить там пальто или шляпу. Такие глаголы в английском называются переходные, то есть глаголы, которые без дополнения не имеют смысла. Как раз вот в этом юните мы и поработаем, как использовать правильно фразеологические глаголы с дополнениями. Первый пример. Turn off the light. Выключи свет. Обратите внимание, дополнение может стоять после глагола turn off the light. Либо дополнение свет, вот этот the light, можно поставить внутрь этого глагола, то есть перед предлогом turn the light off. На следующей картинке. Put on your shoes. Одень свои ботинки. Можно сказать put your shoes on. Ring up my friend. Позвони моему другу. Или ring my friend up. Но если дополнением к такому глаголу фразеологическому будет местоимение it, them, us, you, him, her, то это местоимение должно обязательно быть внутри. Например, turn it off. Выключи это. Нельзя сказать turn off it. Put them on. Одень их. Неправильно сказать put on them. Ring her up.
Next task. You should use suitable prepositions in the sentences to form a phrasal verbs. Check yourself. Task number 9. Project work. Today we tried to summarize our knowledge on the topic natural disasters. Please do presentation. Can people take steps to prevent natural disasters? Our lesson comes to the end. And say please, what are the safety rules for an earthquake emergency? Could the internet be helpful in case of disaster? Your home task. You will write information about the disasters that happened in the 21st century. Pay attention to descriptors. A learner matches pictures to suitable words, identifies the natural disaster, expresses idea and provide arguments to justify them, use vocabulary related to natural disasters, uses grammatically correct sentences, completes the gaps with suitable words, matches words with definitions, solves crossword. Our lesson is over. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.